Hello YouTubers, this is Average Joe Video, and today we're going to talk about 3 things that you can check to keep your Kubota BX Series tractor from overheating. If you are a new Kubota BX Series owner, you definitely want to check out this video. While you're at it, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Okay, so the first thing you need to check, the obvious thing, is you need to keep an eye on the coolant level. And you can see that this white reservoir here is the coolant reservoir. Now, if you take a closer look at the coolant reservoir, you can see that there are 2 lines on there. There is an L and there is an H. All you need to do is make sure that the coolant on your tractor is between the L and the H whenever the engine is cool. Obviously, if you try to fill it up to reach the max and then you heat up the engine, it's going to end up going out the overflow tube, so you just want to make sure that it's between those 2 marks. So maintaining the proper coolant level is the obvious first thing that you need to be aware of so you don't overheat your BX. But this next thing is what I mentioned about people often not realizing. You will notice that there is this tab here with a rubber boot on it, and this is the debris screen. And no matter how clean you think it might be, it usually has debris in it, and you can see that from the images already. This debris screen is actually quite dirty. It's not ridiculous, obviously I've seen it worse, but that's what we're going to take care of, and I'm going to show you a way to keep everything cleaned out. Okay, so in order to clean that area where the debris screen rests, we are going to use this Blowgun nozzle that I picked up on Amazon. I'm going to include a link below. Please keep in mind that I am an Amazon associate, so if you do purchase using the link below, I earn a small commission. However, the item costs you the same amount of money either way. So let's go ahead and let's get started. We'll get the compressor started up and we'll get to work. And while we're getting everything ready to go, please keep in mind the overall goal of cleaning this screen is to make sure that the airflow to the radiator is not blocked in any way. And that's going to keep your engine running at the correct temperature. Okay, so my air compressor is set at 60 psi, and again, this isn't horrible, but it gets a lot worse than this. If you've never pulled yours out and checked it, especially if you do a lot of mowing, you're going to see that this is probably loaded full. My issue is usually in the early spring when I'm mowing with all the dandelions. I don't treat my yard, so I have dandelions everywhere, but the great part about this nozzle, you can get everything nice and clean without an issue. And you could actually just brush your hand against this and kind of brush off all the debris if you wanted to. So this isn't really the main reason why the blower nozzle is handy. So let me show you. Okay, so if you take a look down in here, and it can be a little difficult to see on camera, but I'm going to do my best. If you look way down in here, obviously this is your radiator. Okay, that's what's here in front of it, and then this is what's catching all of this debris, and down in there it gets packed full. Now, right now mine is not too bad because once again I keep up with it. I wish I'd have made a video of this earlier whenever it was packed full, because literally only about a quarter of that screen was actually able to be seen through. So what I'm going to do with the blower nozzle is get right down in there and blow all that out, and that's where it comes in handy. So before I go ahead and drop the screen down in there, if you take a look, you can see that it's much cleaner down in there. It's a little hard to see on camera. There we go. You can see that that blower nozzle cleaned everything. I apologize, it's really hard to hold that nozzle while I'm holding the camera to look down in there, but you can see that it did a great job of cleaning everything out. Okay, so this debris screen is only going to fit in one way. If you've never removed it, one of the frustrating things is you got to make sure that you are getting the edge of this screen in this groove. So you want to make sure you're in this groove, and you're going to see those grooves on each side of that area. So as long as we hit those grooves, obviously you can see that it's going to go right down in there, and then I can simply drop it back down in place. Now, the next thing that you want to check is actually out here in the front, because you can see that this is kind of the first line of defense against debris getting in there, is this screen, because this is essentially where the tractor is bringing in its cool air supply that obviously keeps the radiator cool. So on mine, again, it's not too bad. That's because I keep up with it, but that's something you can just brush off often as you're going. But I will tell you, if you try to brush debris off of there while the engine's running, obviously it's like a vacuum effect. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this screen. We can do that by simply loosening this plastic nut assembly that's on there, and you can take this the entire way off. And as you can see, that's where you access your battery as well. So should you ever need to jump start your Kubota, that's where you can do that. I will tell you, keep an eye on these connections in here. Keep an eye on these wing nuts. Make sure that they are secure. Obviously, things do vibrate loose as you go. I've even had terminals vibrate loose. So I actually had that happen where the positive terminal didn't stay tight just from the vibration. So just keep an eye on it. If you ever have a starting issue, obviously that's going to be the first thing you check, is the battery area, but make sure that you're aware of that. And again, this is pretty basic here. Okay, so now we can go ahead and reinstall this intake screen. It's pretty simple. You just want to get things lined up. Pay particular attention to this center bolt here, where that's going to tighten in. And you can see, if you look at the sides, you want to make sure that it's actually going through this portion, okay, where the metal is. That's how you know it's lined up. And of course, the bolt hole will be lined up as well. So at this point, we can go ahead and just tighten the nut, and the intake screen is reinstalled. Okay, so you can see basically you're just checking 3 points, and technically I guess you could consider this radiator area and the intake on the other side the same area, but essentially you're just checking to make sure the coolant is between the low and the high mark whenever the engine is cool, and you are also checking then to make sure that you have this debris screen completely cleaned out. And then we took off this cowling here and we cleaned that out as well. And by the way, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, be sure to smash that like button. It really helps out.